It's
okay.
so slow and stupid. It's not even worth doing.
I would just say like, okay, I can do anything hard for 60 seconds. So I took a nap. I was good. The OBGYN said to me, we need to do a C-section. And I had to get a medical transport to go home.
That was a huge red flag, Meredith.
Even if you really want a vaginal delivery, do research on a C-section.
Welcome to Advanced Maternal Age, real and raw talk from pregnancy, labor, 3 a.m. trenches, and the messy magic of motherhood.
Fertility, conception, surprise turns, and the acronyms no one asked for.
Whether you're tracking your cycle, cuddling a newborn, or figuring out what's next, you're in the right place.
I'm Achin.
I'm Meredith. We're your co-pilots on this AMA ride.
This is Advanced Maternal Age.
Okay, so my birth story.
Oh my God. I know.
Buckle up, folks. My pregnancy was totally fine. I didn't have any problems. I had no GD. I had nothing. Baby was fine the whole time. I obviously am AMA, so when I hit week 34 or 35, I can't remember, I had to go in every week. No, 36, I guess. The last month, you have to go in every week to see your OBGYN and every week to do an ultrasound. And that's just if you're labeled advanced maternal age. It doesn't matter if you have it. If you have complications, as we heard from Achint in her story, there's other things you have to do. But I had no MFM, nothing like that. The baby was trending on the larger side. But again, I'm a tall person. I'm 5'10". My son's father is like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
So there was no
gonna be like-
surprise that this child was going to be large. I always manifested like a 7'5" baby. That did not happen. I will tell you
All
now.
she said is, I don't ever want to actually push a 9-pound baby out of my vagina.
I did say that. And I will tell you, the spoiler alert is manifestation is real, folks. Basically, week 39, I woke up in the middle of the night one day, 2 a.m., and I was having like out of a dead sleep, as much as you're sleeping at 39 weeks pregnant. I was in just like a lot of pain. Like I couldn't sleep through the pain. He was kicking a lot, but I was having really intense cramps. So I proceeded to like scroll on Instagram as you do. And because I can't sleep and I'm just sitting there and I scroll on Instagram for like an hour. The pain is still there. The kicking is still happening, but it's like less kicking. And one of the things that the OBGYN told me was one of the things to watch out for and really pay attention is decreased fetal movement. So I start to kind of like panic a little bit because I'm like, okay, he's definitely not kicking as much as he was. And I had an anterior placenta. So for those who don't know, that means it's in the front. So the whole pregnancy, I actually was joking. I was like, thank God I have an anterior placenta because this kid was like karate kicking me all the time. If I had a posterior placenta, Jesus, I would have been those. Yes, I would have been those viral videos where the foot like coming through you. Like that would have been me. So I would feel him, but only if he kicked up or to the side.
Yeah.
So at this point, he had been head down for a good couple of weeks. So he was in birth position for a while. He was never breached. Once they started checking for him in that position, he was always head down. So he was in the position like ready to go. But I just was feeling pain. I was decreased field movement. So about an hour of scrolling on Instagram, I decide, the millennial in me, I was like, let's download a contraction app. So I downloaded a contraction app at like 3 a.m. so I could start watching the contractions. But they were very irregular. There was no pattern. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Another hour of scrolling on Instagram. I get a text from one of my best friends from high school. And she's probably listening to this episode. So shout out Brittany, the witch Brittany. She texts me in all caps. Is he here yet? Or no, is he here? Just is he here?
Oh, this is that point in the group chat.
Yeah. And then,
Brittany
because
Lewis,
yes. She says, is she here? So a little bit of a tangent because it's me. The backstory to this is when Brittany and I were in high school, there was a 7.4 earthquake that happened in 2007. You can Google this. Happened in 2007 in Hawaii because of something that happened off the coast of Japan. She was spending the night at my house. She wakes me up out of a dead ass sleep on a Sunday morning to tell and says to me, there's going to be an earthquake. Don't freak out. I'm like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about?
Oh, because she already knew about it?
No. She's a real witch. She literally says this to me. She says this to me. In 2 seconds later, the whole house shakes, Achint. I swear on my life, this happened.
That's so fucking cool.
No, it's weird as shit. So this happened when we were 17. So she texted me, is he here? ? And then it followed up by, I just was woken up out of a dead sleep. I had this very vivid dream. You and I were somewhere, we were walking. And then all of a sudden I started telling everyone my nephew is here. And I'm awake because I've been awake for 2 hours.
That is so crazy.
I know, crazy, right? So I've been awake for 2 hours. So I text her back immediately. I say, well, no, but funny you should ask. And I tell her what's going on. And she's like, he's coming to like tomorrow or the next day. So this was technically November 2nd. It was the early morning of November 2nd. So this pain I'm having continues, and the fetal movement is still staying low. I even told his dad that morning, I was like, I don't think you should go to work because I feel like something's going to happen. And I just didn't want him to like schlep all the way into work and have to come back. But he was like, no. Like, we all know this is going to be, if you do go into labor, it's going to be a long while. So like, I'll go. If something happens, like call me. I say, okay, fine. So a couple hours later, like around 10 a.m., my mom comes over because she's visiting from Hawaii to prepare for the baby coming. And I tell her what's going on. And I go, I just haven't felt him kick a lot. And at this point, you have a pattern, right? So in the morning, he was always pretty active. So I just said, I was like, this is kind of weird. So the OBGYN had told me, he's like, listen, if you ever feel anything off, I also, for context, live literally across the street from the hospital I was delivering in. So he was like, if you do feel any type of way, just go over to labor and delivery triage. They'll do a workup. Worst case scenario, they send you home. So I told my mom, I said, I think we should go. So we walk over, we go to triage. They set me up and everything. They set up the baby on a monitor. One of the residents for our doctor comes in, and immediately he's like, yeah, they check me. For context, I was 1 centimeter dilated the week prior at the OB. They checked me again. I was 2 centimeters dilated, so nothing substantial.
But they can start the Pitocin at 2 centimeters.
Right. So he said, he was like, and technically at 39 weeks, you're full term.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, I think we're good. I think you're okay to go home, especially since I live across the street. And then, just monitor everything and you'll probably come back like later today. I thought I was going home. Then like 30 minutes later, he comes back, I thought to like whatever, discharge me or whatever it is.
You're having contractions?
Yeah, but nothing crazy. I mean, I was watching them on the monitor, but nothing crazy. Not like, again, there was a pattern, but not close together.
Yeah.
But he comes back 30 minutes later, and he apparently had spoken to the OBGYN, and they were monitoring not only my contractions, but also the baby's heart rate. And they said that when I was having contractions, the baby's heart rate was dipping slightly. So it wasn't anything to be concerned, but it was concerning enough that they didn't want me going home. So they said, they're like, listen, you're full term. Because of this, we feel like we should do an induction.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I wasn't.
How did you feel? Because I
wasn't prepared. No, I wasn't prepared. I was not prepared.
We always said no Pitocin, no Pitocin.
No.
Right?
Well, yeah. And I knew at least what to do. Again, speaking of advocating for yourself. So I just said, okay, there's a medical reason because they're saying the baby's heart rate is dropping with contractions. I mean, what am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so they tell me the plan they're going to do. They say they're going to do a balloon. They're not going to do the cytotech like you had, because they explained to me once you're on that road, like you can't back it off. So they say,
it's
okay.
so slow and stupid. It's not even worth doing.
So I did the balloon and then the Pitocin. Okay. And originally all my friends told me, ask for the epidural before the Pitocin, because the Pitocin makes your contractions like crazy and you don't want to do that. Well, I talked to the doctors about that. They said, listen, the problem with doing that, they're like, we can, but the problem with doing that is then you won't be able to move once you do the epidural. And I was like, that's true. And I didn't want that.
And then there's no point of having your doula there then.
Well, yes, because I was always getting the epidural. I was never the chick who was going to do this.
Yeah, I wanted to do like a full hypnobirthing, no medication.
Oh, no. This bitch was crazy. I was never that. I'm like, my name is Meredith.
With a straight
I always
C-section.
said, anyone who asked me, I'm like, my name is Meredith. I would like the drugs.
Yeah.
So I just
when
knew.
When we first got pregnant, we talked about it. We're like,
right.
Oh, how are you going to do it?
Yeah. So I always knew, and my doula knew this too, that I was going to have an epidural at some point. So I knew that I was going to labor with an epidural. And you can, and there's certain positions you can do, but you can't bounce on the ball. You can't walk around the halls, nothing like that. So I said, okay, fine. I'll play ball with you. I was very proud of myself. So they did the balloon. The balloon came out on its own, which was a good sign because it basically meant that my cervix was like contracting and opening, whatever. I did the Pitocin until I got to 4 centimeters. And then I was like, oh my God, no. The pain was like getting to the point where I was uncomfortable.
I need to like understand this better because for me, like I had a scheduled C-section.
Right.
I freaked out and then I like delayed it and told the doctor to come back after all of his appointments. And then stayed at the hospital by starting an induction, by taking 1 dose of Cytotec, and everybody on the floor knew that this bitch was just buying time out,
Right, right.
And so I never took another dose or anything. I literally was just sitting there all day, just trying to like get myself ready for the C-section. So what happens exactly like with the Pitocin, and like how were your contractions going? Because with the Cytotec, you basically feel like you're having really bad cramps. Like,
Okay. So
like
it was
really
that.
like plan B cramps type of
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. So it is really bad, but it's just very close together and you kind of can't catch your breath. And I just kept telling myself, like, because they last anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. So when they would happen, I would just like breathe through it and I would just say, like, okay, I can do anything hard for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But what I was told was by my doula, when you can no longer talk through them, that's probably when you want to call the anesthesiologist if you want an epidural, because they're not coming right away. Like,
Yeah, I think I've heard that too.
Yeah, no, it took him like an hour and a half to come to me from when I asked the nurse.
Yeah.
Because there
I've
was an
heard that.
emergency. They have to handle the emergencies.
It takes approximately 45 minutes to get them.
Right. And I'll be honest and say that the anesthesiologist I had for my epidural was not good. He like struggled. I had like the issue where like half of my back only went numb and the other half didn't. And it was because of the placement.
Right before when they were doing that.
It was like
C-section.
it was like the placement of it all. And I mean, I was very vocal and I like told him like he was fucking up and everything. So we got it sorted, but it took a while and it was not a fun process. So once I had the epidural, I couldn't do any more like bouncing on the ball or anything like that. But I had like the peanut ball and I was able to do like, positions, and my doula was there. So
you have the epidural and you're doing the Pitocin. You can basically like feel like.
Well, I didn't feel anything when I had the epidural. Like once we got it straight.
Feel any contractions, nothing.
Not a single thing. Once we got it straight, I was good. I was golden. I took a nap. I was good.
Yeah, yeah.
The punchline here is that I did 24 hours of this Nishigas, and then I never got past 5.5 centimeters. And different labor positions that I would do would cause his heart rate to drop, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. So after 24 hours, the OBGYN shows up and he talks to me and he said, listen, I've given you 24 hours, but essentially, even though I wasn't pushing, it doesn't matter. Your body is in labor for 24 hours.
You're exhausted.
So my body has been exerting itself. It's doing all the things. It's trying to labor down. It's trying to push him deeper into the canal. And it just wasn't happening. So the OBGYN said to me, we need to do a C-section. So now I am an emergency C-section after being in labor for 24 hours.
When we saw those pictures, by the way, her mom had like a group chat with close friends and then sends the pictures once the baby was there. We were like, what? C-section? I was like,
oh yeah, because you see like the blue, curtain.
Yeah. And I was like, and then you see like the blue thing on your head and everything.
Right, yeah.
Like,
we're like
it took
scrubbed
me
up.
a couple of minutes to process that picture because I was like, wait, what is happening? Like,
yeah, you're like, why is she laying like that? No.
No, mind you, I know exactly what it was, but I was like, what?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like I did see, so you started seeing our pelvic floor therapist postpartum, but I saw pelvic floor therapist during pregnancy.
Yeah,
prenatally. And she never, my pelvic floor was good to go. And even the OBGYN, like,
but you also have like wider hips and everything. And
so it wasn't,
nothing was hurting you. Like no cervical exam was hurting you. Nothing.
So it wasn't my body. What it was it was the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
So we found out. So we go in for the emergency C-section. I will say this. I had it. So they take out the epidural, then they did the spinal block on me. So I had 2 needles in me. I will say that that's not talked about enough is like you get rolled into the operating room by yourself. Your husband, partner, whatever is not there with you.
No.
You're there by yourself. They do the whole needle in your back to like make you numb from your waist down with a bunch of strangers, basically, nurses.
I want to ask you, how was your experience going from that room to the place? Because you were in an emergency. I was not. We had the same OBGYN.
It just happened very quickly. Like, I don't know, but I think yours was quick too. But I mean, the nurse, there was like his.
I hear so many like negative stories like, oh, I had the emergency C-sections. They roll you out. They put all these people and it's like this, that, and everything. And like, I mean, so many people talking and all this stuff. And like.
The anesthesiologist came to my room before and they talked to me because I did not know this, fun fact, since they were like, do you want to just stay with the epidural or do you want to do a spinal block? And I was like,
That's weird.
I don't know. And because I said, no, I've had issues with this epidural, we're doing the spinal block. Like, I don't know. We're not fucking around with this. I mean, you're about to cut me open 8 layers deep. Like, are you on crack cocaine? Like, I was like, these people are wild. And of course, they're all fucking men. I guess I thought that you get your person to come with you, but they don't come in until after they've started, which is crazy.
No.
So that was interesting. So you do feel like alone, basically, like, because you are. And I don't love that.
It's so much more clinical the way yours was versus mine. Also, our OBGYN knew that he told me after, he was like, you were just spiraling and I knew that you needed time to just come to terms with the fact that you were having a C-section.
Yeah, because it's a big deal. I mean, I started crying when they told me, and it was because I knew the recovery was going to be totally different.
Yeah.
My plan of like how I was going to like take care of the baby.
That's why I was so upset about
everything.
The C-section.
Yeah, everything was going to change in an instant.
I was breaking down before the date because I was like, oh my God, of the recovery. And also all the things that happen with the baby, right? Like you don't get like all the gut flora and everything that happens. They don't get squeezed through the vaginal canal.
I was happy to have my doula there because so we quickly pivoted.
Oh,
Speaking of,
wiped the vernix stuff?
No, we didn't wipe vernix, but we did the gut. I had him take the gut flora stuff and like put it on him.
Oh, that's good. I didn't do that.
I was very emotional when I found out about doing the C-section because it was just the recovery. I mean, I've never had one, obviously, but I knew from you, from other friends. I mean, it's no joke. And I just started.
They say that the C-section recovery is, in the sense of like once you get walking and everything, is a lot faster. But I think it's the long-term internal stuff that takes a lot longer.
Well, yeah.
Like
and
for
your
the working
body
out,
is,
like I still can't work. I'm not cleared to work out with
your body is like completely fucked because they cut all these areas. It's crazy.
And then when you're breastfeeding on top of having that.
Oh, the feeling of like your uterus contracting back together.
No.
Fun
It's not even that. It's because that whole area is so sore and you're literally crunched over on that area.
So I went in and I had a crazy reaction to the spinal tap. It's a reaction that a lot of people, I guess, do have, but I was like convulsing and I was like shaking really, really bad. So like I couldn't even like really talk because my teeth were chattering so bad. I was pissed I was going to chip a tooth. I'm like, listen, if you mess up my teeth,
this girl is amazing. The veneers.
Yeah. Listen, I paid good money for my teeth. So if you mess up my veneers, I will come for you. So yeah, but even, his dad was sitting there next to me and he said in hindsight, he was like, oh my God, it was so scary to see you like that. Like you couldn't even talk. Like, cause obviously me, I'm a talker.
Cause you almost look like you're having a seizure.
Right. Yeah. So my other big fear always, and I should say always, but I think a lot of people have this fear, is that your baby like doesn't cry right away, like when they come out, whether it's vaginally or through a C-section. And I was also scared because I've heard other friends of mine say this who had C-sections that like they don't remember the baby coming to them because they were so like out of it. And I was worried that I wouldn't remember that because if anyone knows me, I am a one and done mom. I always said if God graced me with one child, that's all I want. And trust me, after this experience, that's all I want. And it's all I'm having. But I was just worried that I wasn't going to remember it. But the first thing I heard when they pulled him out, the OBGYN goes, wow, he's a big guy. And I was like, big guy? How big of a guy? And then, they like obviously take him over to the warmer. And so then his dad was able to go around. Listen, anyone who's had a C-section, I'm not saying anything that you don't know, but holy hell, I felt like I was going to fall off the table. The moving and shaking and grabbing and pulling.
I know.
I'm like,
they like lift you up from the operating table to the other. And I was like, I'm not a tiny person. They have all these tiny little residents picking me up. And
the pulling and shaking, like getting him out. Like I felt like it is traumatic. I'm like, holy hell, like your body is essentially, I feel like, think about if you were numb from your waist down. And then you got Mike Tyson coming up and punching the shit out of you in everywhere of your body, but you don't feel it. You might feel the pressure of the punch, but you don't feel the hurt. Then imagine coming off those drugs and you got all this like pain because Mike Tyson just beat the shit out of your lower half. That's how I feel like it is. And more people need to talk about that because holy fuck, I was like, what is happening? He comes out, he's totally fine. He was a big guy. He was 9 pounds, 21 and a half inches long. And to what Achin said earlier, I manifested this because I never said I wanted to give birth vaginally to a 9-pound baby. Well, my ass had a 9-pound baby, but I gave birth non-vaginally. So you know what? God
You
was
did.
listening to me and he was like, ma'am, let me tell you something. This is not your journey. Trigger warning for people who are squeamish. I am not naturally a redhead. I do dye my hair red. However, my grandfather is naturally redhead. My mom and me both have the redheaded gene where we metabolize any pain meds very quickly. I said this to the anesthesiologist, both of them, the one that fucked up my epidural and the ones who did the spinal block. Okay, when I tell you, they had already done the closing up of me. So we're about an hour into this. Then they're wiping the area.
You felt it?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
I screamed my fucking head off. The anesthesiologist comes over. I could barely speak. I tell his dad, I go, tell them they need to give me more drugs and now. And so he's like, okay. And he looks around. He's like, she needs more drugs. And the anesthesiologist comes up to my head. She's like, can you feel something? I said, yes, I can feel something.
Oh, fuck.
The next day I wake up and I have like zero appetite, which is very weird because yes, I had a C-section, but I also was like breastfeeding. So, usually you're like very hungry and I wasn't hungry at all.
I feel like shit. Is this how you feel? And I was like, yeah, you do feel like shit. Like,
right. But I just
but
felt
like
like
I didn't know that time. I was like, why is she saying it like that? And I was like, for some reason, at the same time, I was like, I don't remember Meredith's pain tolerance being that low.
no, I have a very high pain tolerance.
And I was like very confused, but now we know why.
Well, a few hours later, shit made a left turn, people, because I was just in a world of pain. And it wasn't in my C-section scar. It was not anywhere near that area. It was in my stomach. And I kept saying this to the nurses and they were like, oh, that's normal, like gas and bloating from the C-section. Like, don't worry. Like when you walk around, you'll be fine. But every time I got up to walk around, when I tell you, I felt like a combo of like a geriatric grandma with scoliosis and like the pain was phenomenal. I would not wish this pain I was in on my worst enemy. I mean, it was horrendous. Well, the indication number one should have been that I live across the street from this hospital and I had to get a medical transport to go home.
Really?
I could not physically walk across the street. That's how much pain I was in. I couldn't walk, period. So we paid $75 for a medical transport to take me around the block.
What? I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, that's how I got home the
Oh my
first time.
God. That was a huge red flag, Meredith.
Yeah, but no one fucking stopped me.
Oh my God. Had I known that one part, I would have been like, no, that's not normal. You need to like go back.
I gave birth on a Monday. I'm home on a Wednesday night. That night, I start throwing up.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, people, throwing up after you've had a C-section, I swear to God, I thought I busted a stitch. I was like, oh my God. I'm throwing up from Wednesday night till Saturday morning. So I was throwing up, but it was like bowls, like salad bowls of bile, of green bile for 2 full days. I had done a telehealth visit on Friday night with my OBGYN who prescribed me, wait for it, Pepcid and Zofran. Okay. And tells me that if I can't keep anything down by tomorrow to go to the emergency room. Amazing. So obviously the Pepcid and the Zofran did fuck all. So the next morning was my baby's like first well check. I could not even go with him. My mom had to take him. I was that weak. I couldn't stand up. It was at this point the baby is on formula because I couldn't breastfeed anymore because I couldn't even hold him.
Yeah.
Like that's how weak I was. When my mom comes back from his appointment, I tell her we have to go to the ER. The pain I was in, I couldn't even text people back. And my brain wasn't working the amount of pain I was in. We go to the ER. I can't even speak to the people to give them my info to check me into the fucking emergency room. I get wheeled in to a private room because I just had a baby. I was postpartum like 3 fucking days. So they put me in a private room because it's November in the East Coast. So like RSV is rampant and like everything.
Your
for me.
mom called and she was like, Meredith only feels like you're the only person that can advocate for her right now. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's like No, but I was like that. It's like so bad.
No, because I
Whatever
needed
was,
somebody
like,
who was going to go there and like fucking get them to do shit.
yeah.
Because you have experienced it yourself being hospitalized. Like you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to advocate for yourself.
No, and like you need
in the
another person
ER
there to like run back and
yeah,
forth and bother
in the
the
ER, like
nurses.
no one's doing shit for you
Yeah.
unless you're like an annoying bitch. The mic drop moment is I had a small bowel obstruction, which 30% of all abdominal surgery, folks, not just C-sections, 30% of all abdominal surgeries can result in a small bowel obstruction.
Sleepy bowels. It
Sleepy
was an
bowels.
alias, not an obstruction.
Right.
That's
So
what
let's
they
clarify.
said.
Let's clarify. They call it a small bowel obstruction, but of course it wasn't fully obstructed because if it was, I would have had to have another surgery. Thank God it was an ileus, which basically means my intestines were like asleep and they were like kinked because they did see that on the CT, but they were hopeful that putting an NG tube down my nose, into my throat, into my stomach for 3 to 4 days would basically like give them time to recoup and then basically work again. When I tell you this NG tube being put down my throat, thank God Chin had to leave and our other friend came and she unfortunately was there for this lovely time.
Oh my God.
It took them 4 tries to get this thing down my nose. You are fully awake. They don't put you out in any stretch of the imagination.
They said they're like, oh, we can spray something to like freeze your nose a little.
Oh yeah, that was a lie. There was no freezing. I mean, they did it, but it did nothing. I mean, like, fine, it freezes your nostril. Okay, anyone who like freaked out about getting a COVID-19 test, when I tell you, like, that's nothing. This is like 1,000 times worse. So yeah, so 5 days postpartum, basically, I am back into the hospital and
so
I have
bad.
an NG tube down my throat, pumping out this disgusting green shit that is in my stomach. And I stayed there for 3 days and I lost myself mentally. I was losing my sanity. It was not okay. If I was anywhere with PPD, I had PPD then because postpartum depression, for those who don't know what that stands for, because
It's like literally in the peak of your hormone crash.
yes. And I didn't see the baby at all. My mom brought him twice for like 10 minutes because, you know, again, we're not trying to get him sick and I couldn't eat or drink anything. But when I started feeling the hunger pain, I was like, oh, this is a good sign because it meant my digestive system was starting up. So anyway, I won't bore everyone with like the intricate details, but I was then discharged after 3 days, but I had to fight for my life to get out of this hospital. You guys, like when I tell you, when I tell you they would have kept me there for eternity, they did not want to let me go. Anyway, so that's my birth story. I hope I didn't traumatize people, but let me end on a good note.
We both just ended up in C-section.
Yes, it's crazy. We never thought we'd be C-section survivors.
We were like, no Pitocin, we're gonna deliver
vaginally. Yeah. So I will say this. Listen,
but we have
it's
healthy
true.
babies.
Yeah,
We're
healthy
very,
babies.
very lucky.
It's
There
true
was
what they
nothing.
say.
Full-term babies.
Full term, healthy babies. It's true what they say though. Like whatever works for you is what's for you. Like you can't try to pre-plan it. But the one thing I do feel a little dumb about, and I would give advice to people, even if you really want a vaginal delivery, do research on a C-section because I did not. I did not at all. One thing that I've recently discovered that they should have done is to prevent sleepy bowel or an ileus, which is what I had, chew gum after you have a C-section.
You know, when you sent that post to me, because that's an older post, I actually had it saved.
Yeah, it stimulates.
Previously.
So basically what the gum does is it tricks your brain into your digestive tract firing up and thinking that, okay, we have to get ready, food is coming, even though food isn't coming. That was a hot take. So if you have a C-section, chew gum after. If I had to choose between a bad pregnancy, a bad birth, or a, God forbid, non-healthy baby, I'd choose the bad birth every time.
Safe.
I've had friends that have really bad pregnancies, that were bedridden, that lost weight because they were vomiting their whole pregnancy. I mean, 10 months is a long fucking time. So I would never wish a bad pregnancy on anyone. I wouldn't wish a bad birth either, but the birth part, if what you get at the end is, thankfully, I was okay. Thankfully, I didn't have anything terrible because there's other complications that can happen from C-sections that obviously are really bad. So thankfully, this was actually on the scale pretty mild as a complication. Still terrible. I literally lost 30 pounds in a matter of 2 weeks.
So fucking lucky.
Because of not being able to eat.
So lucky.
And being like terrified. Once I was even able to eat solid foods, I was fucking terrified to eat them. Obviously, having a healthy baby is like all you want. And I'm glad that I'm also
really,
healthy.
Really fortunate that we didn't have any of those situations.
Yeah.
We came out, I mean, my son has gone through plenty of people after But generally, he's been healthy, you know?
Yeah,
There's
no,
never been
he's
any,
healthy.
like, he doesn't have any serious chronic medical condition
No.
that we know of yet.
No.
So,
He's going to be
yeah.
fine. We're putting
Yeah.
the good vibes out there.
Yeah.
So that's the takeaway. Just listen to yourself, advocate for yourself. Don't worry. Yes, it's fine. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to give you advice. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's your birth. It's your birth, literally. So do what's best for you.
Yeah. Birth is going to be birth. People are going to have to recover in different ways, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I don't think it's ever like better or worse either way you do it. I don't think anybody is like, oh, I want to do a C-section, right? So like that was definitely our thing. But yeah, in retrospect, we should have been a little bit more aware or
Prepared
for it.
Yes. So it just goes to show, even people who are type A can be unprepared. Okay. Well, I don't think I missed anything. So
Awesome.
bye.
Well, bye. We'll see you all next week.
Yes.